Welcome everyone to our first CPE webinar of the year. And I don't think we could have picked a more relevant and hot topic, the war for talent and how we can win it in 2022. My name is Kay Steelman, and I'm the VP of Professional Services for the Accounting, Finance, HR, Legal, and Administrative brands of BGSF and the administrator of our CPE programs. So first, I just want to go over some reminders for our session today. If you need to earn the 1 hour of CPE credit, you will need to attend for 50 minutes. And our platform does record the time you join and exit and answer 3 of the 4 polling questions. And those will come up randomly during the presentation. So even if you don't need CPE today, we invite you to still answer the polling questions because we appreciate your insight and we can all benefit from seeing the results of each poll. So you can only respond to the polling questions if you're logged in through the desktop app or a mobile app. So just know if you're dialing in, you won't be able to see the polling questions. So within 1 week, after you complete the evaluation form, we will send you your CPE certificate by email to that same email that you registered with. So if you have any questions, and we hope you will, please enter them directly in the chat section to the side, and just please set your chat to go to all panelists and attendees. I think it defaults to just going to the host and the panelist. So if you'll change that right now, then you'll be all set. And we will compile all those questions and answer those at the end of the presentation. So next, just a little bit about BGSF. We are one of the fastest growing publicly traded workforce solution firms in the United States. The company was created in 2007, formerly BG Staffing, Inc., and now operates through 91 locations across 46 states, DC, and Canada. Within our professional division, BGSF has 10 specialized brands nationwide, and specifically in accounting and finance, HR, legal and administrative, information technology, and cybersecurity. So what we do, we connect the right talent to the right opportunities, and that's whether your organization needs project consulting, managed services, staff augmentation, direct hire, or executive search services. So now I want to tell you a little bit about our speaker today. Joy DaCosta is an accomplished recruiting manager, joining our Donovan & Watkins brand 5 years ago, placing senior and executive accounting and finance professionals across all industries. She has 10 years of international accounting and finance experience working for companies in the financial services, insurance, and consulting industry. So having worked in accounting and finance in several roles, including controller, Joy truly understands the world she recruits in. Her strength lies in her ability to develop solid relationships by leveraging her past experience to understand the needs and goals of both her clients and candidates. Joy graduated from Kingston University in Surrey, England, with a degree in accounting and finance and is an ACCA affiliate. And now I think we have our first polling question. So that will pop up and you'll have a minute to complete that. And it's just a yes, no answer. Has your company gotten innovative to attract and retain talent? So we will give you just a few more. And that's something that we've seen a lot, and I'm sure Joy will be talking about. Be interesting to see the results.
You have about 20 seconds left to answer.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so that's a big yes. So I will now turn the program over to you, Joy, to begin. Thank you, Joy.
Well, thank you so much, Kay, for the introduction, and good afternoon and a very happy Friday to everyone on this call. And thank you so much for joining us today to learn about this very hot and relevant topic for 2022. So let's get straight into it. And it was really great to see in that polling question that, close to 70% have already started thinking about innovative ways to attract talent, because, it's been a crazy couple of years, and as we know, last year was no different. We saw an incredible hiring boom and quite possibly the most competitive hunt for top talent in years. This has really kept us busy, so no complaints there. But on the other hand, we also witnessed what is now called, or they're calling, the Great Resignation, with so many people simply just quitting their jobs without having something else in hand, or leaving their current roles for other opportunities. Now, this is the biggest mass resignation since 2019. And as per a recent report by the Labor Department, November 2021 saw a record of 4.5 million people either quit or change jobs. And that's crazy. Now, as we all know, the start of the pandemic in 2020 brought life as we know it to a total standstill. Restaurants, bars, gyms, salons, and other social places were just forced to shut down, leaving people with really nothing to do but isolate at home. And, this led to people saving more and in turn investing a lot more. And perhaps it's this increased money in the bank that has given people this saving safety net, which has allowed them to, that luxury to really take pause and reflect on what is important to them. We speak to candidates on a daily basis, and I've come across candidates who quit their jobs due to long hours, just a lot of stress, and really a lack of recognition in the workplace. And, they decided they just wanted to stop being miserable and pursue their passions or dreams. And we've seen many people move into self-employment. Others chose to leave and join companies that aligned with their values. And some decided to just, take some time out to breathe and take a break, spend quality time with family. So the pandemic really slowed down life and has allowed people to reevaluate what is important in their lives. And this is leading to more candidates being extremely intentional with their next career move. I believe we have a polling question coming up next. I'm really interested to see what this result comes in at.
Got 20 seconds left to answer.
Under 5%, 34%. All right, so 5 to 10%, 32. Okay, so, this is real and people are definitely experiencing it. So, that leads really well into our next slide, Brittany, in terms of what candidates are looking for. So, this is the big question. And based on the results of multiple BGSF polls on LinkedIn and continuous feedback we have been hearing, and we continue to hear from our candidates on a daily basis, we've kind of listed some of the top 5 things candidates are looking for. So let's start with looking at the poll results on the chart to the far right. When asked about the leading factor in reevaluating career goals, 55% selected flexibility. And, I don't think that's surprising at all. This also happens to be the first question we get asked when talking to candidates about a new opportunity. The pandemic just forced remote work upon us. And although initially it really was a challenge, many people just had to adapt to this new change and found themselves being quite productive due to fewer distractions. And they learned to enjoy the flexibility that remote work afforded them. Commute times were reduced, or in some cases, simply eliminated. And people found themselves using that saved time to either invest in their personal lives, their work, or further education. So having experienced work from home for a few years, it's now difficult to ask employees, hey, we want you back in the office 100% of the time. So we are seeing more and more candidates ask for either fully remote work or at least some type of hybrid schedule, maybe being in the office 2 to 3 days a week and then working from home for the remainder. And, I just want to even note that flexibility for candidates, does not, if your company needs the workforce to be back on site 100%, flexibility could also equate to flexible hours. The traditional 9 to 5 is now seen as archaic and unattractive. People want to feel trusted by their company. So having flexibility to work hours should be something that companies really should start considering if you've not already done so. The next is work-life balance. I mean, this is something we all strive for. And a great work-life balance helps to really build trust and commitment within the workplace. And this in turn can, as we know, increase productivity. However, with so many people quitting and leaving jobs in the past 2 years, unfortunately, the folks who have been left behind have been working much longer hours. We all know that that finding new talent takes time. So, something that companies can do and should consider whilst they're looking for talent is, it's taking time. They should maybe consider bringing in part-time workers, contractors, or perhaps even consultants to really bridge that gap so that existing employees don't get burnt out and, in turn also leave. Now, let's take a look at the results of the first poll regarding what matters to you at work. A resounding 29% selected growth opportunities. And, again, career progression is one of the most compelling reasons for candidates to jump ship. Employees want to feel valued and recognized for a job well done, particularly, these past 2 years where it's really been challenging. And if they aren't seeing a structured growth path for them to really progress, guess what? They are going to start looking. So it is really key for leadership and HR teams to reevaluate their existing organizational charts and to perhaps restructure them to really allow for advancement. 28% felt that it was important to have a purpose and feel passionate about their role and the company. Again, not surprising. This goes back to the point I made earlier about people taking the time to reflect and ask themselves, what is important to them and how they can make a difference. So it's becoming more important for candidates to join a company where they feel a little bit more aligned and passionate about the job that they're doing, but also the company goal and mission. Now, 25% pay continues to be an important factor for candidates. Salaries have gone up in the last year due to the supply shortage of talent. But besides a higher base salary, candidates are also looking for a competitive total comp. So those include benefits. What are you offering your employees? And some of the benefits that employees, when talking to them, have quoted as important are good company bonuses. They want to be recognized for the work that they've put in. Above average health plans, particularly with COVID, as we know, health's become so important. Good maternity and paternity leave. We've worked with companies who don't even have a maternity or paternity leave in place. 401k match and solid PTO plans. Company culture and reputation. Now, this is quickly becoming more and more important to candidates. And if they want to work at a particular company, and when we talk to them, questions that we get asked are, how does this company stand out? Why should we join them? What are they doing to keep their people happy? Do they treat their people well? Do they have a good reputation in the marketplace? And guess what? We live in a world where it is so easy to just simply Google information. It's at the tip of our fingers, and learn about a company and their reputation. So if you don't already have a good company branding and reputation management in place, this is an area that companies should really invest some time and some money. So, we spoke about culture and why it's important. And, as we all know from our personal experience, there is nothing better than working for a company that offers collaboration, teamwork, good people to work with. And in turn, that reflects clearly on employee retention. And so, saying that, what makes for a good and strong company culture? I think it really starts with a company having a clear mission and values. So a positive company culture has values that every employee should know by heart. Again, I've spoken to employees, and some of them don't even candidates, and some of them don't even know what their company's values are. And so it's so important for companies to, if not already done so, to ensure that these values and their mission is accessible and really branded into all of the company's internal and external communications. This should also be used as a tool to discuss with candidates during interviews to really help build a community of like-minded individuals. So as at BGSF, for example, our values are the GIFT, that stands for growth, integrity, innovation, fun, and teamwork. And this is something we all know, we value, and we are so proud of. And we use this as a tool when interviewing talent to join our company to ensure that they also align with our values. Transparent communication, from the top. Workplaces with positive cultures, support a philosophy of transparency from the top down, so that every employee, be it at whatever level they are in the organization, feel that they know where they stand and where the company's headed. I mean, no one likes to be left in the dark about what's happening at a company. And employees will always support leaders who are transparent, who are accessible, who are honest, and most importantly, who are genuine. Low turnover rate. I mean, this is one of the strongest indicators, as we know, of a company, doing well with its culture. And, just simply put, happy, engaged employees who are offered continued opportunities for growth are more likely to stay put. So, that goes into growth and development. Building a strong culture is about developing real growth opportunities for people. And, this doesn't need to be something truly structured. In some cases, it could just be informal, lunch and learns. It could be one-on-one coaching, perhaps introducing some mentorship programs, or, a more structured leadership course. Employees want for their companies to invest in them and their growth. And this is only going to help with retention in the workplace. Diversity and equality, and investing in this. I mean, this has been such a hot topic and continue to remain a hot topic both in 2022 and beyond. And great companies know this, and they will embrace diversity in hiring. This really leads, when you have a more diverse workforce, that really leads to diversity in thought and diversity in approaches. And in talking to some of our younger candidates, diversity is not a nice to have for them. In some cases, it really is a prerequisite. It's a requirement. And employees want to work for companies that are really committed to hiring a more diverse workforce. It's not just about saying that they have initiatives in place. They want to see this in action. Like, what are companies doing to really empower women? What are they doing to bring down that the pay gap? What are they doing to help employees of color advance through the ranks? These should be more than just initiatives. They should be actionable as well. Fun. Okay, so we spend 8 to 10 hours of our day with our work, family, and community. And we all know work can get very busy and stressful at times. So creating fun at work, should really be essential. And it's important to help with employee motivation. It helps with team building. And, having fun doesn't really have to be super expensive. In some cases, it really doesn't even cost a lot of money, but yet it can really help to boost employee job satisfaction. So some simple examples of fun activities are, organizing a virtual happy hour with teams, maybe hosting a trivia night, assigning lunch or coffee meetings with team members. My personal favorite, which I haven't done in a while, is maybe a karaoke night. So making time for fun activities helps with better team management. And this in turn is only going to help with strengthening your company culture. So we're going to take a pause there. And I believe we have another polling question. So what percentage of your employees are on site? None, 100% remote, 25% on site, 50 to 75% on site, or 75% or more on site.
Okay, 20 seconds left to answer.
Okay. So 100% remote, none, 100% remote. Okay, 22%. We've got about 25% on site at 49, 50 to 75 on site, 14%. Okay, so we're seeing the trend of 25% on site. So some type of hybrid. Okay, and that's good. And we'll talk more about that flexibility and hybrid culture a bit later. But on this slide, I definitely want to spend some time talking a little bit more about how companies can really improve their hiring process. So as 2021 showed us, highly sought after talent had multiple opportunities as companies battled for the best of the best. I mean, we experienced this ourselves. Our candidates, sometimes had 2 to 3 offers in hand. And we found that when they had multiple offers and had to decide which one to accept, companies who had a more robust hiring process seemed to have the edge over their competition. So what does this look like? So the most important thing, we'll start with an approved budget. We're accounting and finance professionals here, and we know that's the first thing to start with. But let me tell you, last year we saw so many companies, in fact, some of our own clients, lose out on top talent that they wanted to make an offer to, as they didn't have an approved budget. And candidates were left at that last stage knowing that there was an offer, but there wasn't an approved budget, and they had other offers in hand, so they lost out on that talent. And in this hot candidate-driven market, that is just not good enough, and it also just leaves a very poor impression on the company. So it may be a simple thing, but ensure that there is an approved budget in place and that the budget makes sense and really considers the current market salaries and total compensation. It should not just be looking at a base salary. Job descriptions, when we see job descriptions, sometimes, they can be a little unrealistic, and it's important for companies to really take the time to look at the job descriptions, make sure that they're realistic and accurately reflect the knowledge, skills, and the abilities required to perform that role. Now, we're seeing a lot of this. Jobs are put out there, they've been open for a while, and if your company is experiencing that, it's time to take a step back and review the position and maybe consider key non-negotiables for the role, and where you as a company can be a little flexible in terms of those requirements. So we all, we all have a wish list. We would love to find everything on that wish list, but in the best of times, it can be difficult. And in this market, it is ever so challenging. So, what we advise our clients is, we're not telling you to give up on quality. However, sometimes by focusing on skills, along with the more traditional requirements, you could stand a better chance of broadening your talent pools while also leveling the playing field for job seekers from perhaps non-traditional backgrounds. Also, salaries should be reflective of the job title and responsibility. So depending on the level, the challenges, the goals you have for that particular role, companies should consider perhaps offering a sign-on bonus, higher yearly bonuses, and LTI, long-term incentive plans, wherever necessary. This is one that we've seen companies really struggle with, and this is where they've lost talent. It's streamlining your actual hiring process. So, if you've not already done this, it's time to, again, take a step back and review the interview process to ensure it is streamlined, it is structured, and includes all the key decision makers. It's just so important to identify the right individuals who will be involved in the hiring and ensure that they in turn understand their role in the interview process, the timing of this hire, and the time commitment required from them. So the hiring team as a whole should really be aligned on the expectations for this hire or the hiring. And in this job market, companies should perhaps try, if possible, to coordinate more panel type interviews so that interviews are not stretched beyond 2 weeks. Now, in some cases, this may just have to be the case, if you're hiring for an executive level, C-suite person, but for some of these more junior to mid-level roles, we really think 2 to 3 interviews should suffice. And any assessments that you want candidates to do should really be done simultaneously with the interviews. If you find that someone's really strong, you have a good feeling about them, try and inject those assessments maybe in stage 2 or 3 rather than waiting right till the end. So interviewing teams should also meet on a regular basis to discuss candidates and to give feedback to either their HR or if they're working with an external recruiting company. Quick feedback is essential. It's so important right now for hiring managers to be organized to enable quick decision making, particularly if you really like a candidate and you want to make an offer. Time is of the essence and speed is important. So during the interview, besides just talking about the job and what is expected, it's a great time for companies to use this time as an opportunity to also provide a really clear overview of their own organization, the team, the organization's values, its culture, the various different team structures, the job responsibilities, of course, but what challenges may come with with that role, but what are the growth opportunities as well? In short, sell your company and sell the role. Again, I'm going to reiterate, candidates have 2 to 3 offers in hand, good candidates for sure. And as much as you are interviewing them, they are most definitely interviewing you. So make sure that you are using that interview time to really highlight why you should be the company they join. Okay, so we've reached the last stage, an offer has been made and the candidate has accepted, yay. However, the process does not end there. We've seen so many times candidates turning down an offer, even after they've accepted, due to delayed or extremely unstructured onboarding. An area we tend to see issues with is getting candidates started is with them getting their IT equipment or company passes or logins. So all of this should be well planned out so that candidates can start as quickly as possible. So companies should really work on simplifying their onboarding process. And if there are delays, maintain open lines of communication with candidates so they have all the necessary information, and also have a forum to ask questions regarding the process. Another thing that companies sometimes don't think about are, first week trainings and company introductions, making sure that those are very well thought of and properly structured, particularly for remote starts. New hires should have basic information like their login credentials, and where they can access documents, clear training on the various different processes, and how to use technology. So companies should, maybe consider assigning a mentor to new hires, so they have someone they can reach out to for questions to help them get acquainted and well-oriented in their first couple of weeks on the job. So to conclude, companies really should just take the time and make the effort to review their current hiring processes and streamline it wherever possible to ensure that they stand the best chance of getting an offer acceptance rather than a decline. Okay, so you've done the tough work of attracting the right candidate. You've done all the right things. They've joined your company. And we know that took a lot of time and money, and it will take a lot of time and money to replace that talent. So what can you as a company do to retain them? I really think retention starts with recruiting. So employees tend to stay longer at organizations where they feel aligned with their values and goals. Now, we spoke about identifying in the earlier slide about identifying your company's mission and values. Sorry. And this becomes really important when interviewing, because when you identify the right candidate who shares in your company's value during the recruitment process, that can really pay long-term dividends in terms of retention. Going to talk about competitive total comp and packages. Again, is your company evaluating salaries against this current market? And are they doing it on a regular basis? If not, you really should. In fact, we at BGSF, we recently published our guide, our salary guide for 2022. And, we've seen it. Salaries have gone up across not just accounting and finance, IT, it's important for you, a company, to be seen as competitive in the marketplace. So this is an area that companies should really not ignore. And, if your company has a tight budget, which we do understand, if there's a tight budget for salary increases, what can you do to be a little innovative? Maybe you could look at your benefits. Could you maybe offer slightly better benefits? Maybe offering more time off, better work-life balance, bonuses. So overall total comp could really make a huge difference to retaining your existing talent. Okay, internal mobility. So this is where companies need to go beyond the annual review, sorry, to find out where their employee is in the contentment curve. So, it's important to ask questions about, do you as an employee enjoy what you're doing? Are you ready to be promoted or perhaps move to another department? Are you as a company making the most of your employee strengths? And this really comes down to talent management and ensuring that your people are in the right role at the right time, doing the right thing. So I'll give you a personal example. Before I joined BGSF, I worked for a consulting firm headquartered in Evanston, and I was with the company for about 6.5 years. And the biggest factor for me that kept me there was that I was always given an opportunity to grow and do something different. So, I started as a controller with them in London, but was given the opportunity to move to Chicago to be part of the SAP implementation team because we were looking to move to SAP. Whilst I was in Chicago, in talking to a couple of managers, I saw an opportunity, put my hand up, and was given that opportunity to move to India, to live there, and co-lead the build of an A&F shared services center. I mean, what an awesome opportunity for anyone, but they selected me, and even though I was an accountant, I was always better at delivering on projects, at communicating and influencing people. And I think that my management team there really recognized that. And so they gave me roles that matched my strengths and that made me feel like a valued member of the team. And because of that, I felt that, it's not like I felt, I wanted to really show up and give these projects my all and make them really successful. So to this day, I am just so grateful to that company and so appreciative of the opportunities I was given. And it was one of the biggest reasons I stayed with them. And this leads really nicely to my next point, and one that I value a lot: recognition. Now, if recognition isn't already part of your company culture, it really should be. So recognition can look like anything from what I discussed above, right? Like really recognizing someone's strengths, but it could be as simple as a shout out, for a job well done, to maybe an organization-wide announcement of someone's promotion. I think it's important when, your people go above and beyond. One of the best things that you can do for them is just to simply appreciate and recognize their hard work and the impact they've made to the organization. Another example, at BGSF, we've introduced an employee recognition platform that we call the Big Deal, and it's powered by WorkHuman. And we've linked this platform to our gift values that I mentioned earlier. And it's a great platform for our employees across all divisions and teams across the country to give a shout out to their teammates for a job well done. And this can be viewed and commented on by everyone across the company, including the executive team. And by the way, our CEO as well, who often looks at these comments. She herself comments on this recognition. And there are different tiers to the recognition based on achievements and rewards linked to each tier, such that employees can collect reward points that they can redeem from an online gift store. This may sound really simple, but who doesn't like to be acknowledged for going above and beyond? And in this case, on a national platform. So sometimes it is the simple things that matter the most that you can put into practice to retain your talent. Encourage taking PTO. Hey, let me tell you, burnout is real. I think we all experienced it at some point in 2022 or last year. And employee well-being is important. And employees want to work at companies that recognize that and take actual measures to act on it. It's important to ensure that our employees who work so hard for us, don't suffer from mental health issues and burnout. So encourage your people to utilize their PTO regularly. And when on PTO, they should really try and disconnect as fully as possible. Now, PTO doesn't necessarily need to be a long vacation, but shorter breaks can be encouraged. I talk to people, to candidates, and it is so shocking to me to hear that sometimes many of them just lose out on their PTO because they just don't feel that they're in a position to take time off due to their workload. I mean, this is crazy. PTO is a benefit that is given to employees for the hard work that they put into an organization. So it's so important for management teams to really encourage taking time off. Something that management teams can do is maybe focus on cross-training their teams to ensure that there's always a backup, and on a regular basis, review the workload of each employee such that it is adequately distributed and can be taken up by another team member when someone is on PTO, so that when employees do decide to take that time off, they can do so without worrying about coming back to a crazy workload. Flexibility. Now, flexibility at work doesn't necessarily equate to working remotely. So it's important for employers to understand that workplace flexibility is more than just giving employees schedules or allowing them to work from home on days. Flexibility could be flexible start and end times, maybe caregiving leave, maybe control in shift times, maybe allowing for part-time work. So companies really need to start fostering an environment of trust so that employees feel that they can work from anywhere. And as I mentioned before, we are moving away from that traditional 9-to-5 structured in-office schedule. And, companies who want to stay ahead of the game will need to really start thinking of ways that they can evaluate their employees' performance, besides them just being in the office. And following a 9-to-5 schedule. So I believe we have our final polling question. Okay, so does your company have an established, clear, and inclusive culture? As I mentioned, this is something that we are getting asked a lot about when we talk to candidates, particularly the younger generation. So would love to see what this comes in at. Okay, so yes, 65% have come in at yes. That is super. 25% work in progress, 9%. Hey, okay, there's time to work on that. But okay, this is great. This is really good. You're doing the right thing. So let's move to the next slide. Okay, trends that we are going to see in 2022. Okay, like it or not, hybrid work is here to stay. 2020 forced employers to awaken to the advantages of allowing work from anywhere for knowledge workers. And this led to an access actually to national and in some cases a global talent pool without the hassles of relocation. Now, the flexibility that this afforded employees directly translated to their productivity and job satisfaction. And the reduced need for corporate real estate was, as many of us know, a huge cost savings. So at the same time, we do realize that fully remote work is not right for everyone. For the most part, human beings are social, and there's a need to bond with people at work and form friendships, collaborate, have access to mentors, and some people just do much better work in an office setting, people with families, like, sorry, the distinction between their work and their personal lives. So, I really think the future of work is going to see more hybrid schedules. And companies really, if you're not doing this, will really need to support this new way of working. And for this to be successful, if an employee, elects to come on and work on site, or if they choose to work from home, they should really feel that they have equal access to technology and opportunities. And at a time when finding and hiring talent has become so difficult and candidates are being tremendously selective about who they work for, where they work, and how they work, it's time for companies to just embrace the, hey, this is the new world, and step up with strategies and technologies that can make remote or hybrid work more rewarding, fulfilling, and exciting. Better comp and benefits. I apologize for, I think a lot of my content, just touched on this. And, the reason why I'm reiterating it is because we saw companies lose out on talent because salaries were not competitive enough. So don't allow your organization to lose out on top talent due to poor compensation. And again, it's sometimes not just about the base salary. It obviously has to be in line with the market, but reevaluate current comp plans across the company and look at benefits as well. And maybe you could even consider additional perks, such as offering childcare assistance if you require your workforce to be back in the office. Mental and physical health programs, hey, that's becoming so important. And, as we spoke about, burnout, it's real. Mental health. So maybe offering that as a perk. Volunteer time off. As I said, people are joining companies where they feel passionate about the mission and the goal. So maybe offering volunteer time off, free lunches, maybe extended parental leave, and unlimited PTO are just some ideas where people can, if you can't get to the salary that a candidate wants, you can at least work on the benefits or offering additional perks. More significant emphasis on D&I. Really pleased to see that a lot of you are already on the right path in ensuring that you have a good DE&I in place. So companies that are diverse, inclusive, and treat employees equitably just make better places to work, and they benefit. You see that there's a benefit from increased productivity and success. And they may also be better able to retain their employees. So, for those of y'all who have not broached this yet, when introducing workplace and diversity initiatives, it's important to really listen to your employees to understand what is it that they want. So, you could just start by promoting really small behavioral changes as a good start if you don't have, an initiative in place. So for example, maybe consider how you're wording your job descriptions. Are you, using language that shows that your company is dedicated to being inclusive? Perhaps you could think of having a more diverse panel, interviewing candidates during the hiring process, or just ask for more diverse referrals. And D&I is not just when is not just when attracting candidates. This also extends to retention in the workflow, in the workforce, and your employees, by creating career development paths that don't limit or target advancement to only certain types of individuals. Stay interviews. So another strategy that companies are using to retain top talent and keep their key players are stay interviews. Now, this has been around for some time. And, these are proactive interviews to give people the chance to talk about what is working for them or what is not working for them. So kind of like the talent management, but really trying to understand, where companies can improve. But we're seeing a lot more of this in 2021, and we may continue seeing this in 2022. And the idea is to ask questions similar to what employees may be asked in an exit interview, but before they actually quit. So, this is a great tool for smaller companies, that may struggle to compete with large companies on salaries and benefits. And, they could use this process as a way to get a pulse on what they can do to retain their workforce. And I do want to point out, while this is an excellent strategy, what companies should bear in mind if they put this into play is that they really need to follow through and deliver on the feedback that they are actually getting from employees, or this could just backfire and won't look good. Okay, investing in internal talent. So employers, I won't say that they finally realizing, but they understand that employee development is so essential to keeping workers engaged, and developing an internal talent pipeline and retaining top talent. As our BGSF polls pointed out, 29% people selected that growth opportunities were extremely important for them at work. And then 25% selected that it was the leading factor in reevaluating their career goals. So, it's clear employees are looking for career development and opportunity from their companies. And in this very highly competitive and candidate-driven job market, if you choose not to invest in your employees' futures, that can just, have a damaging impact on your company's ability to not only attract new talent, but to also retain your existing talent. So investing in employee development is, more than just upskilling employees with technical skills. Companies can maybe focus on skills such as effective communication, time management, conflict resolution, to really prime their employees for whatever changes come their way. So investing in the development of new skills and capabilities among employees can seriously drive up loyalty for employers and lead to happier workers. So with that, I can't believe the time has just flown by so quick, but we conclude today's presentation. 2022 has already started off extremely strong, and we believe that we will continue to see a very strong candidate-driven market. And, I'm really hoping some or all of these tips outlined will benefit your company with finding hiring success for 2022. All right, with that, Brittany, I think we actually have a few minutes for questions.
Yes, we do. So I'm going to get to some of the questions that were asked in the chat. And also, if you still have additional questions, please feel free to ask them as we continue into the question portion of the presentation. So someone asked, are you seeing more people move out of state to where they want to live if they can be remote?
Yes, we actually have seen that, particularly here in Texas. People moving from up north, from the Northeast, and it's in some cases their companies have allowed for them to work remotely, and we're seeing that a lot. We're seeing that a lot in A&F, and more so at that mid-tier level. So yes, in answer to your question, we are seeing movement because it goes to the point of flexibility and trust. Companies should be at that point where they can just trust individuals to get the work done. And if that means someone is working, if the company is based in Dallas and they're working from Chicago, but they're getting the job done, why not? So we actually have seen that happen. In fact, even within my own friend circle, I've had people just wanting to move to a different part of the country, and their companies have supported that move.
Great. Our next question is a little bit kind of multi-tiered. So do you have advice from the candidate side on going to management and asking for a raise, knowing that salaries around the industry have gone up? And especially if they're being recruited from other positions, is there a time to ask? Is there a certain time of year that might be better to ask for a raise?
Yeah, and again, it goes to the point of if you know your I mean, everyone works hard, doing what we're doing. It's been a challenging year, and I think I think it's important for candidates, and in this case, employees, to feel confident, to be able. I mean, again, it goes down to that whole, what we spoke about, company culture. It should be a culture where employees feel that they can have these very open and transparent communications with their employers. So it tends to be during the end of the year, people get traditionally they get their raises or a bonus. So, but if you feel, if you're looking at the market rates, or you're talking to peers and you feel that you're not seeing the raise that you want, I think approach management and have a very open conversation. And it's important, when having these conversations about raises, because it can be tricky, it's important to also sometimes highlight, what you've done, what are some of the achievements, you've done, to sometimes back that up. But yeah, in answer to that question, I don't think there is a particular time. If you strongly feel that a raise is on the horizon, go and have a very open conversation with your management team. I hope that answers that question.
Great. Are you seeing that the practice of paying employees for where they live, they have in parentheses here, Geopay, is not as frequent now with remote work?
Geopay, I'm not sure I'm familiar with that.
I think geography, maybe the cost of living, is different in different parts of the country.
Okay, so and so the question was asking, Brittany, sorry.
Are you seeing that practice of paying employees for where they live, maybe adjusting for cost of living, is not as frequent now because of remote work?
Yeah, correct. And I mean, again, as we said, remote work has really helped with opening up talent pools and companies saving on relocation costs. So yeah, in some cases, if someone decides to move to again, as I mentioned, from a Dallas to a Chicago, the cost of living is not terribly different, and they're saving number one on relocation costs. As an example, particularly if the employee themselves has wanted to move there, and yes, that you'll always have to consider a little bit of that relocation, uptick depending on the area that they move to. But yes, it is not maybe as frequent. And I hope I've understood that question correctly.
Okay, great. So some of our attendees today may be with smaller companies. Can you address maybe how these same ideas can be applied to a much smaller company?
Yeah, and we work with small clients, all the way through Fortune 500 companies. And the advice that we give some of our smaller clients who have more stringent budgets, as I said, it goes beyond just the salary. That needs to be attractive. I mean, if there's anything you can do, at least make sure that the salary is in line with the market. But there are other things that you can do, providing additional perks, outlining growth opportunities. When we're doing intake calls with our clients, we're trying to understand, as we're talking to candidates, what will really attract them to a role. So we spoke about company culture. Be ready to answer questions about the company culture. Be prepared to maybe look at your hierarchy. As you said, it's a smaller company, so they may not be a larger hierarchy, but could there be some kind of reevaluation of the structure to help someone grow into another role? Additional perks, recognition tools. As I said, that it needn't be something something expensive. Companies have to go beyond just the salary and a bonus. You really have to start thinking a little bit more outside the box with regards to additional perks that you can afford to your employees. I think we may have time for one more question because we're at 12:59.
Great. So yeah, we do have one more question. Are companies paying sign-on bonuses and relocation costs?
Yes, yes, and yes, for sure. And I'll tell you why. Again, when you're attracting top talent, you've got the best of the best, and this top talent is ready to make a move. Sometimes talent is walking away, and this is a sign-on bonus, is walking away from perhaps the bonus that they'd be making. So that is what companies, and we're advising our clients to do that. What can you do to really seal the deal? And sign-on bonuses are the best way to ensure that you can lock in that top talent. And yeah, we are seeing relocation as well with some of our clients. Again, when particularly if they really want their staff to be on site. So in that case, if they're in parts of the country where they're just struggling to find the talent that they want and they have to look elsewhere, they're forced to pay that relocation.
Great, thank you.
All right, so I think we're at top of the hour. We're at 1 o'clock. This has been great, everyone. I hope you'll found this really helpful. My details are up here, and if you'd like to have a conversation or a chat, be it from a client perspective or a candidate perspective, I'd love to get in touch. Thank you so much for your time and enjoy this wonderful Friday. In some cases, if it's a long weekend, enjoy the long weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you, everybody.